Hello YouTube, it's BluRay5 and welcome to Star Trek Deep Space Nine, A Man Alone live review. Original air date January 17th, 1993. Please give me 1 second to put in my earphones, and we have a little bit of news to take care of. And then we will get started. Now, tonight's episode is obviously only was originally a 60-minute episode. So, basically, 45, maybe that's the wrong one. Basically, 45 minutes or so of actual airtime. I'm going to endeavor to pause it during the commercial breaks. Yeah, so what do we got here? What do we got? I'm sorry, Anti-Trekker messaged me on Skype. I didn't know if it was something important like the web server blowing up or something. Let me let him know I'm live. Just went live. In case he doesn't know. So, Sci-Fi Guy was here early. Says Qapla, Bird, Chat, Mamo Prey, and Sassy. Thank you so much, Sci-Fi Guy. Thomas Potts says hi. Not Ryan Johnson says, what the? Yeah, we've got a little bit of a new scene. I finally got HD, and I know it's not perfect, but an HD view screen from Deep Space Nine. I got it from the What We Left Behind documentary. Some of the HD upgraded footage. I think I need to cut it out a little bit better, make that glow effect, but I was working on it right up until I started. Thomas says hi. No, not Ryan says, what the? Stromore says, greeting birds and fellow nerds. Greetings, Stromore. Michael Henry says, hey brother, welcome Michael. My somewhat better looking twin. Not Ryan Johnson says, hello and Qapla. Hello and Qapla. John DeMarco says, hello, hello, girl. Hello, all. Sci-Fi Guy's going to be right back. And Kennewick Sapien says, congrats. Family O'Prey, 120% sub increase just in May. And Qapla, thank you, Kennewick. And I just got some good news. Literally, I would have started a minute earlier, but it just came in. YouTube has approved me. I am now monetized. I didn't even get to read the email. I read 2 lines and I said, okay, good news. But I will deal with that later because it was already getting too late. And I told people I was aiming for a 5 p.m. start, and it was coming up on 5:30. Yeah, thank you, John DeMarco. Kennewick says, thank you, YouTube support. Thank you, Bangalore. Thomas says, still no super chat, though. Well, I'm guessing soon. Maybe it'll take a day or two. Like it took a day or two until I could actually broadcast from outside. Or maybe there's something I have to enable on the stream. I don't know how I would get super chats yet. Honestly, for today's stream, they're not particularly important, but obviously we'll look into them in the future. Oh yes, says Mama Pray, remind everybody to go to live chat if you so inclined. And Bird, you do have to enable super chats for your stream. Oh, very good, Anti-Trekker. So thank you. You see, you're really not the enemy. Is that something I can enable while I'm streaming, or I have to enable before I started streaming? I can't stay. I'm in a lot of pain, but hey, everyone. Oh, hey, sorry about the pain. Anti-tracker. I think it's a setting in your settings, says Sharon Moore. Okay, you know what? Listen, then you know what? Tonight's our last Super Chat free stream. Now, obviously, nobody ever has to give Super Chats, but it won't even be an option. Okay? Because let's just do this. Let's make this a good video and a good walk down memory lane. There are a couple of things I wanted to get to. A Man Alone. It wasn't easy figuring out which episode this was, surprisingly. Josh Street says, Bird of Prey, you did say I could use part of your live stream during destroying. Yes, you can use, Josh Street. You have my permission. You can use part of one of my live streams of me destroying Nerd City. To be completely honest and open with you, I honestly don't think anyone even needs permission to even use a small clip of me in their video. Personally, I don't think anybody, needs to ask permission. But even if you were using like longer clip of 5 or 10 minutes, yes, you have my permission, Josh Street. For somebody who wants to throw in 30 seconds or minute, that's kind of fair use. I'm not gonna tell anybody, hey, you can't use my 30 seconds, and then I'm gonna yell at CBS or somebody when they, ding me for using 30 seconds of their video. No. If we're all gonna play by the same rules, and even if they're not gonna play by the rules, I will. So, a short clip, don't even ask. Don't have to ask. I would like to know about it because it would be really cool to see it. But, you don't need to ask. A longer clip, sure, ask. I can't picture me saying no unless it's like something like I need to take a 5-minute clip of you for my, radical video trying to indoctrinate people. I don't even want to say the words because YouTube's got ears everywhere. They're just looking to demonetize. Before I even get the first super chat, they're going to be looking to demonetize. But let's get started. And what do we got here? Thanks to Mama Pray. Yes, Mama Pray. She says hi. Yes, she says hi. She says hello, everybody. Mama Pray's in the kitchen. Not far. She's over there. Joseph Patrick says, Bird of Prey running against track yards. My ears hurt from following 2 streams at once. Oh, Joseph, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. 5 o'clock. It's a tough time. I know. Michael Henry, can we get a 5-minute clip of your face and make a porn video? Michael, only if it is, only if doesn't make fun of me in any way. As long as it, it's flattering. As long as it's flattering and not gay. Chris Purses is Qapla. Just finished over at Gary's. Very cool, Chris. Yeah, I was listening to most of Gary's today. I watched that UFO video he did last night. That was super cool. Only if it's Tilly porn. Oh, boy. Adult movie with Bird and AOC. I wouldn't mind. As long as it's flattering. But, seriously. A little stuff I want to talk about Deep Space Nine. We got some news on the Deep Space Nine, What We Left Behind documentary. Yes, let's see, is this going to cooperate today? That's not right. No, of course it's not going to cooperate. But you get to watch the fish for a second. Okay, let me make a quick fix here. Deep Space Nine, A Man Alone. There we go. Okay. So, why is that not? I don't know why this keeps changing, but it does. Okay, so what we left behind, here's the deal. The DS9 documentary Blu-ray DVD combo details have been announced. Now, this is for there's 3 versions, and basically, unfortunately for people outside the United States, if you're outside the United States and you were not an early backer, the short answer is you are kind of out of luck for right now. In the not too near distant future, they hope to announce separate release deals for Europe and I would guess Australia and other parts of the world. But for right now, we've only got two things noted. That the U.S. release of the Deep Space Nine documentary is coming August 6th. And there's going to be 2 versions released to the general public. One is just the standard edition, What We Left Behind, which is going to be a Blu-ray DVD combo, and it's going to have an introduction from Ira Stephen Bear, a brief history of the Deep Space Nine featurette, What We Left Out, which is a bunch of deleted scenes. If it's the same list I saw earlier, it's like 10 or 11 deleted scenes. So that's pretty cool. Because they talked about the scenes they didn't do, like Trials and Tribulations, In a Pale Moonlight. Some really good stuff that I wanted to be part of the documentary, but they just left out for time. Behind the scenes at a Variety photo shoot featurette, which they did have some clips of that in the documentary. The HD remaster discussion with what it took to remaster their 20 minutes of footage. More from the fans featurette, which I'll be honest, I'll probably skip. And the trailer, which who cares, right? I mean, if I'm going to see the documentary, I don't need to see the trailer again. That was just, I guess, filler on there. They needed another bullet point. But there is a What We Left Behind special edition Blu-ray DVD, which, even though I was an early backer and even though I'm already getting a Blu-ray DVD, I ordered this today because there's a limited number. There's only 1,500 of these being produced, and you may want them if you are a Deep Space Nine super fan. This actually has everything, obviously, the standard edition has, plus an extra disc with a 50-minute roundtable of the people who worked on this documentary, talking about the making of the documentary, and also some type of musical reunion with a couple of composers that, honestly, while they worked on Deep Space Nine, they were not the main sound people, so that doesn't do anything for me. But just for the whole fact that I wanted everything, I ordered this as well. Now, if you are a backer, if you're already a backer, you're going to get the Indiegogo edition, which looks like the standard edition, but actually contains more. It contains more than the standard edition, but less than the special edition, because they couldn't afford to put in a second disc, a second Blu-ray, so instead they just jam-packed whatever they could onto the first Blu-ray, and what I'm told is it includes everything listed here, plus the musical thing from the special edition, plus clips, the most important clips from that 50-minute roundtable discussion. but not the full roundtable discussion. And I already complained, a bunch of people were complaining on Twitter earlier today, like, this really kind of sucks. We already paid like $35 to be an early backer, thinking we were going to get the best thing, and then you guys come out and tell us, well, you've got to pay $36 more. That's the cost plus shipping. If you want the special edition. And I'm like, what the hell, man? What the hell? That's not right. That's nobody. Now let me pick it up. Hello? Hello?
Thank you for choosing MasterCard Visa.
Nah. Not even a person to fuck with. Anyway. So there was some annoyance. I called them Ferengi. I didn't mean to get, some guy responded saying, but we worked so hard on it, and I said, listen, I know you guys worked hard on it. It was good. It's good. I'm not saying, but, put yourselves in the shoes of a backer. We gave you money 2-3 years ago, and we weren't sure we'd ever see a return. All through the time, you're saying, don't worry, we've got your back. We're going to get you the best, the best, the best. And then here at the 11th hour, you're like, oh, yeah, if you want the full thing, you've got to buy it for another $36 from someone else. So that was kind of crappy. But you know what? I'll get it my copy. I'll get the special edition copy. And then maybe I will give away the Indiegogo copy or something. I'll see. Now, the Indiegogo edition is going to be region free. So that will be more useful to people around the world, whereas the special edition and the standard release are both going to be encoded for USA, Region A or Region 1, depending if it's Blu-ray or DVD. So just, not that that's really a big deal these days, but it could make getting it hard. Plus, what's worse is the company selling these shout. They just simply won't deliver to any address outside the United States. So it will make it hard to get this release outside the United States if you're not an Indiegogo backer. Also, if you're in the United States, they are also going to be releasing it on digital, perhaps Amazon, perhaps iTunes, something like that. You'll get a chance if you wanted to purchase it that way. So, the thunderstorms have started. But I wanted to get that out of the way before we started. So let me get back to the chat and see where we are. And then we will get started on... and why did stuff disappear? Where did the static go? The static shouldn't be gone. Okay, come on. We need the static. If nothing else, we need the static. Really? You can't find the static? Okay, we'll be right back again. We'll try it. There we go. Okay, so let's check the chat. Michael Henry can't do any video editing anyway. Shromore says, guys, keep the comments clean. It affects monetizations and gets the videos in a limited state once uploaded. It's okay to keys, but keep it PG-13. Well, yeah, I mean, if we can. Sci-Fi guys is anti-tracker praying for you. Hope your back gets better soon. Joseph Petrick says yes, they are region locked. If they're Indiegogo, then they're region free. If you get it from Shout, which is the only release that's currently planned at the time, they are region locked. Now, they say there's going to be other releases in other parts of the world, but they're just not, we don't know them yet. Also, the Indiegogo backers, such as myself, we're supposed to be getting them sometime right after the first week of July. Whereas the public, their copies won't be available until August 6th. So we'll get them like a month early, which is pretty cool. That's not bad. Michael Henry says, Anti-Tracker, if I could help you more, I would, man. We all would. Chris says, Joseph, sorry about that. Thomas Potts says, does the Blu-ray come with a digital copy? It does not. It comes with, well, if you're an Indiegogo backer, yes, I believe so. If you buy it from Shout, the standard copy, I do not believe it does. I believe you can get either a Blu-ray DVD or you could get the digital copy. You don't have to get the Blu-ray DVD. And what I heard is that if you get it on Amazon, I believe Amazon was one of the places they said that would have the digital copy, you will get most of the you'll get the standard features in as part of the digital copy, so you'll still get to see the deleted scene, which is good. Which is what most people probably just want the the main documentary and the deleted scenes. That would probably be enough for most. Michael Henry says, I hope so, Thomas. I ordered the Blu-ray, but I have no Blu-ray player. Well, from what I'm told, it's a Blu-ray and a DVD in the package. So you can do that. I don't have a dedicated Blu-ray player, but I have a PlayStation 4. So that'll work. Thomas says, no digital copy. Guess I'll have to buy it twice. Well, I mean, that's one way to do it. I mean, if you need the physical copy, then yeah, I would recommend buying it twice. So, with that, let me talk about Deep Space Nine, a Man Alone. This is the second episode we're doing, but it was a little difficult to determine which episode of the season this actually was. Netflix has it listed as episode 2, but Wikipedia has it listed as episode 3. And if you go into greater detail, so does Memory Alpha. But what happened was these episodes were aired out of order for reasons back in the day, back in 1993. So while the air date for this was January 17th, Past Prologue was aired January 10th. It was the second episode people saw, but this was the second episode produced. The 2-part of Emissary being the first episode. After the DVDs came out, and now with Netflix and Amazon, it seems most people have said that, okay, we're gonna number them as the writers intended. So this was intended to be the second episode, so it will be the second episode for us as well. Just a heads up, the air dates will be weird because we're gonna go back a week next week. We're gonna go to January 10th for Past Prologue, which will be our third episode. But after that, they should start lining up with how they were released. Of course, there's still the difference where some sites count Emissary as 1 and 2 episodes, and other sites count Emissary only as a single episode. I'm going to count it as a single episode since it aired at one time, in one sitting. So this will be episode 2 even though it was the third hour and the fourth one to be seen. So yeah, it's very confusing. And again, I'm going to stop it during commercials to talk about it instead of going on and on like I did last time. And I'll respond at best I can to chats that have at BertlePray5 in them. Once it starts, the rest I will probably skip over. And I think we'll get started. Let me just go through and figure out the rest what you guys said. The BluRay disc region locked, yes. Will one of those two versions be released north of the border, says Chris. Chris, I believe Canada is region 1 on the Blu-rays, or region A for Blu-rays, so you can probably get a hands on the standard edition without too much difficulty. They are selling it from other places, though the Shout website is the only place you can get the 1500 limited copy special edition, but I don't believe they ship it to Canada. Other sites that will be selling them, I'm sure, like Amazon, might sell the standard edition. They'll probably ship to Canada. Thomas Potts says, Chris says, Joseph, yes, they are. Invest in a region-free player. Thomas Potts says, I think the round table was at a theater, but I didn't stay for it. Yeah, I heard they did the round table at the theaters, which another thing that kind of annoyed me. As a backer, I didn't get to see this round table. Rambling Canuck says, Anti-Trigger, hope you feel better soon. We all do. Does the Blu... Oh, I read those. Michael Henry says, well, if it comes on DVD, I can make my own digital copy, no problem then. Yeah, absolutely make your own digital copy. Sci-Fi Guy, on your extra copy of What We Left Behind, a contest is a giveaway prize? Perhaps, Sci-Fi Guy. I have to see, honestly. I might give away something else. I might give away the disc from the special edition. That's the standard edition disc, and just keep the other one. Let me see. We'll see what happens. But that's not a bad idea. Although I kind of want to keep the Indiegogo version. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Shrelmore says the same issue with episode order happened in Babylon 5 and Crusade. It led to things just not feeling right. Michael Henry says Firefly also. And Multi-Gunman says, hey Bird, how's it going? It's going good, Multi-Gunman. I just got notification that I've been accepted into the YouTube partnership program. So good news, bad news. Good news for me. Bad news for some of you that there will be ads playing on some videos going forward. Michael Henry, Bird of Prey, I found a giveaway version if you wish. I will fund a giveaway version if you wish. Oh, that's very cool, Michael Henry. But the problem is, the only one I could buy now is going to be region locked to the United States. So it wouldn't really be fair should someone win it outside North America. I send it to Europe and say, sorry, here's an American Blu-ray. If you get yourself a region-free player, you can watch it. We'll see, but thank you, Michael Henry. Let's see. We've got time. The standard edition will probably be on sale for a long time. They're not saying it's limited in any way. Only the special edition is going to be limited. But I appreciate it. Contest for the channel. We'll look into it. Okay, guys, so this is the part where I'm going to get started. If you want to follow along, and I hope you do, please have your Netflix queued up. We are on Netflix. Where are we? Netflix episode 2. of Deep Space Nine, What We Left Behind. Not deep. Not What We Left Behind. Deep Space Nine, A Man Alone. And I'm going to hit play in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, now. So it's opening on Dax in a holosuite in some type of meditation pose, and Bashir comes in, and this is early Dax. Early Dax was supposed to be spiritual and like holier than thou, and like above everybody else. And Bashir comes in, wants to know if she wants to go to lunch, and Dax is like, we got to talk about relationships. Trills don't have. Trills are above relationships like you think they are, like what you want. So she's saying this is a brain teaser, and Bashir's like, really? And you like puzzles? I like puzzles. And Dax says, well, she's been trying to master it for 150 years. And then she's like, why don't you try it? So Bashir's sitting down, and Dax has started massaging his head and rubbing his ears, putting her hand on his shoulders and his neck, because of course she doesn't want to send mixed signals. Anyway, he needs to focus. He needs to have clarity of clarity of thought. She's releasing the game to him. She tells the computer to transfer controls to the second player, and the sphere immediately disappears. And Dax tells him, I think your mind's a little busy. And Bashir's asking if she's free for supper, but Commander Cisco comes in and asks if she's ready to go, and they walk out together. And Bashir resets, and he's going to play again, and then we start the credits. So this, if there was any doubt that they had no idea at the beginning of the series that Bashir was an augment or a genetically modified, it should be clear now they didn't. Because if he was genetically modified, if they wanted to hint to us that he was, specifically good at this stuff, he could have either one, mastered the game immediately and impressed Jadzia, which is what he wanted to do more than anything, or two, after she left, he could have reset the game and then mastered it while she couldn't see, where we would know, the audience and him, hey, there's something more to this guy that we're not seeing. And they don't have to address it for 5 more seasons or 4 more seasons or whatever it turned out to be. But we would know right away there's more to Bashir than we were seeing. So I think it's pretty clear that way back, the Bashir genetic engineering wasn't part of his character. Showmore says, Bird, pray if it helps grow your channel. Don't worry about context just for Region 1A only. Run with it. You can have other contests at later dates. Thank you, Showmore. And in fact, there's been a contest already, and the prizes are going out tomorrow. Okay, we're back. The title screen, A Man Alone. We're in Quark's bar. Odo's telling Quark business is good. He's almost making an honest living. Quark is saying a lot of new faces. Odo saying the wormhole does bring them our way, and Quark says everyone wants a piece of it. And Odo's like, I'm sure you've already tried to sell it to them. And then you hear Miles and Keiko arguing on the upper level. Quark says the grapevine says that Chief O'Brien and the missus are having problems. And now Odo says he's never understood the solid need to couple. And Quark's like, you've never coupled? And Odo says he chooses not to. Yeah, Odo, you're not fooling any of us. You're not fooling any of us. Although, right now, Odo goes into this spiel about there's too many compromises when you couple. And it almost sounds like he's already dated somebody. Because he knows how it goes. He's like, there's too many compromises. You want to watch some, sporting event, and she wants to listen to Klingon opera. So you compromise and listen to Klingon opera. So what type of compromise is that? And he does 3 or 4 more examples of that. So I honestly thought at this point, the first time, Odo actually probably did have past relationships. But he knew what they turned into, and he was just like, okay, I don't want to deal with it. As the show went on, though, I think we got pretty clear Odo never really had a solid relationship. Okay, so now Jadzia and Sisko are walking down from the holodecks, I guess. And Quark is showing his interest in Jadzia. And Odo's like, yeah, you're never going to get near that. Commander Sisko is into her. And Quark's like, no, I know for a fact that they're just good friends. When she was a he, they were good friends. Okay, so now Odo spots a guy across at the Dabo table, asks, when did he get here? And Quark says, he came in on a transport last night. Okay, so now we're at Sisko and Dax. They're eating, and they're arguing over the food. Sisko's like, have I ever told you about the food my father used to cook? And, for the first few, I think season, maybe 2, until Ben's father is actually shown, they always talk about him in the past tense. So I think it was pretty clear, just FYI. They initially went into this assuming that the father was dead. They definitely talk about him in past tense in future episodes. I'll point it out. But this is another one where, talk about what he used to do. And I granted that, he could have been alive. You say what used to happen. But there's going to be other times. You definitely get the feeling he's passed. But he turns out, obviously, to be alive. Basically, they've been talking about the relationship that, friendships might not survive because of the change in change in people, change in bodies. And Jadzia is again in her mystic over the, not the Jadzia we come to love. The Jadzia that was kind of annoying about, that she's some like meditation expert. And she suggests that Benjamin allow himself to overcome whatever bullshit, crap speak. She could have been the counselor instead of the science officer at this point. So now we're back at the Dabo table. Odo comes over to some guy, says, I want you off this station. And this guy's like, well, you can't do anything about it. Odo's like, I decide who's allowed on the promenade. He's like, you better ask your Federation masters. And Odo starts roughing him up. Good old Odo. Sisko comes in and intervenes. And Odo tells him, you have 26 hours to get off the station. And of course, I think this is where we find out the Bajoran day is 26 hours long. And And Cisco looks at him, and Odo Odo leaves. So we're back now. You know what? I'm going to pause it there because I think that might have been a commercial. So I paused it for those following along with exactly 36 minutes left in the episode. Miles and Keiko are on screen. Here we see what we saw in the last scene was clearly Odo was used to being the the one in charge. Odo was used to being the one in charge of the promenade, and for the first time he's going to have a run-in. It's not been long. A run-in with how the Federation does things, and the Federation is not going to take, is not going to let Odo have carte blanche control over who can come and who can go, even though they probably should. You see, this is one of the inconsistencies with Deep Space Nine. And I love it. I love the show, don't get me wrong, but I got to point out inconsistencies when I see them. Sometimes Deep Space Nine is a Bajoran station that the Federation are just there to administer, and it's under Bajoran law that everything happens. But sometimes it's a Federation station, and it's Federation law that has to be obeyed. The Federation wouldn't allow Odo to select who could be on the promenade and throw people off for quote-unquote no good reason, no provable crime, But if it was Bajor, they would give Odo, they would probably be okay with Odo making those decisions. Somehow they trust Odo even though he worked for the Cardassians. Of course, that's going to come up in this episode. But they're still, at this point, Odo was still trusted, and he'll be trusted again. So, it's weird. It's weird. Yes, Quark always wanted Jadzia to do Umox, because Quark and Bashir, from the very second episode, they were both after Jadzia. Actually, Bashir was after her in the very first episode, in Emissary. In Emissary, the first time we meet them, Bashir was trying to get Jadzia to go on a date with him as soon as they stepped off the transport. But she said no. Why did they make him an augment anyway? Well, I liked it better. I think it helped his character. The early Bashir, I don't think anybody really liked early Bashir. Later Bashir, I liked a lot better. Although he's probably still my least favorite of the Deep Space Nine characters. I still liked him. In these early episodes, he's more annoying than anything. No, Odo did not sleep with Garrick. Is Mamo Prey in chat, Michael Henry? No, she's not right now. She's reading a book. Odo was a collaborator, just saying. I know, Kenwick, I know. What's up? Tiki of Doom says, what? Okay, I missed that. I'm going to go back to it. We're going to be continuing again. I'm stopped at exactly 36 minutes to go. 36 minutes in the episode. And it is Miles and Keiko walking down a corridor. And Miles had just said he'd put in for a transfer if she wanted. And Keiko says, oh, that's not fair either. And Miles like, come on, there's going to be work here for an whatever she is, a botanist. And she's, Miles like, there's ships going through the wormhole every day. There's a whole new quadrant. And she's like, yeah, but I'm not on those ships. So this is a scene where O'Brien tries to get Keiko to, be happy with the choice of living on Deep Space Nine. We'll see how it goes. We know how it goes, but Okay, so I just hit play. So we're at 36:58. I'm just going to start playing in 5, 4, 35 minutes and 58 seconds left. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah. So, right. Okay, O'Brien said that there's a whole new quadrant, and he's promising that they're going to send runabouts through the wormhole. He'll see that she gets to go. And Keiko's like, I don't need favors from you. I just need to be useful. And O'Brien's saying, well, just think of how much more attractive this place would be if you planted trees on the promenade. And we could create an arboretum for the new species. And Keiko looks down at Jake Sisko walking around and says, do you really want to raise your daughter in this place? And before Miles could answer, Akira comes in on the comm system and says he's got to go fix something. So he walks away, and Keiko is looking down at Jake and Nog. And now we go over to Jake and Nog. Jake is introducing himself for Nog for the first time. Jake says there's not a lot of people of his age to be friends around here. And Nog reluctantly tells him his name. Okay, now we cut over to Odo in Sisko's office, talking about this Bajoran, what his name used to be. He used to run black market supplies, but he would gouge them for everything. He'd let kids die because the parents couldn't afford the drugs to save their lives. Some Bajorans thought he was a hero because he also did weapons. Anyway, a few years ago, he killed a Cardassian in cold blood, and Odo sent him to prison. But now the provisional government let him free because killing a Cardassian isn't really a crime. And Sisko's like, oh, it doesn't sound like there's anything we can do about it. And Odo says, I can get him off my promenade. And Sisko's like, well, we can't just throw somebody off because, he didn't do anything. And Odo's like, watch me. And so Sisko says, Constable, you can't take the law into your own hands. And Odo actually goes into a pretty good spiel about how laws change every day, but justice is justice. And you can see Odo's loyalty is to justice, not to the law. And then Sisko told him if he can't work within the law, that he'll find someone who can. And Odo walked out. So we're now in a holosuite. The guy who was fighting with Odo is getting a sensual massage from an alien woman with webbed hands. A webbed sensual massage. She's kissing his back. He's chuckling, he's laughing, and now we see an arm in black and a knife, and he pushes the woman away and plunges the knife into the back of the guy on the massage table. So we don't know who had the knife, but we know they were wrapped in all black. Okay, so then there was a commercial. So I might have been off on the first commercial, but we are now at 32 minutes and 14 seconds, and we're paused. So we know Keiko is looking for something to do, and we know Odo. Honestly, I actually respected Odo. It resonated. His speech resonated with me, and it was kind of weird, especially as we. If this was Sisko from 7 years down the line, Sisko post-Dominion War, he might have been more receptive to Odo's plea. But this is still fresh from Starfleet, and although he's had a darker path than Captain Picard, he is still pretty much trying to live up to Starfleet ideals. And he's like, no, you can't take the law into your own hands. Although you would think, if the guy was convicted of a crime, there's something they might have been able to do about it, but whatever. This, we needed an episode, so it's an episode. It's something we can overlook. But Odo's speech, very effective. Very effective. If I was on a jury and somebody's like, well, why did you do that? You can't take the law into your own hands. And they said, well, the laws change, by who's making them day to day. Cardassian law, Federation law, Bajoran law. But justice is justice. I like it. I like it. It's true. Justice is justice. Justice transcends law. Law, what is lawful and what is just are not necessarily the same thing. And that's the kind of thing I liked about Deep Space Nine. That is exactly the kind of thing it makes you think about. And which side you end up on, there's no right or wrong answer. But for me, I'd rather be on the side of justice than the side of the law. Okay, we got 32 minutes and 14 seconds left. I'm going to be hitting play in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so we've got Jake and Nog. They've opened a container. There's tiny little, looks like fruit flies in there. But Nog says there's some type of alien mites. And Nog and Jake go into Quarks. Now, this was a nice cutaway. Bashir and Jadzia come walking by. And Bashir asks her if she had good fun on her date with Sisko. And she's like, it wasn't a date, number one. And number two, Trills are above these types of things. And Bashir's like, what do you mean? And she's like, Trills try to live on a higher plane. We find these actually annoying. We find what you call romance annoying, which is bullcrap. We know that. Of course, she says that they try to overcome it. And Bashir picks up, but you said try. That doesn't mean you always succeed. And she kind of gave a laugh. And he said, well, he'll keep champagne on ice because he got called away. He got called away to ops. Okay, so Jake and Nog have been laughing their asses off. We see a random couple at Quarks scratching themselves like crazy. And now their skin is changing color. From like white to green to blue to yellow. And they're laughing hysterically. And they start panicking. Help us, somebody help us. And then all of a sudden the scratchiness goes away. The colors stop turning. And they sit back down and they laugh it off. Like what? And it's gone. No harm was done, I guess. They're not going to go to the infirmary, I guess. Just because I started turning blue and green and then it stopped. I'm fine now. I'm not going to worry about what it was. And a security guy pick up Nog and Jake because they saw him laughing. They know they were involved in something. And they walk them off. So now we're back in the holodeck. Odo, the body is on the floor. I guess when the program ended, the body just fell to the floor. There's a knife in the back. Odo, Kira, Bashir, and Sisko are in there. They said that the holodeck only opened, the doors only opened when he went in. The doors never opened for him to leave. So they're like, well, how how could the killer get in? And Cisco's like, well, maybe he came in when the first guy came in. So they're sweeping the holodeck for DNA, for any hair or DNA. They're doing a crime scene investigation. And Odo's checking out the body. He's looking up at Kira. You can tell this is not going to be good. Meanwhile, Keiko noticed Jake and Nog got caught by security. And Keiko is now saying that the kids had nothing to do. And she said the freedoms kids have on the Enterprise just won't work on the space station. What this place needs is a school. And O'Brien's looking at her with a funny face. Again, a quick cutaway. We're in Cisco's office with Kira and some other guy. And he's saying the murdered man, Ububan, he spoke to him about a half hour before it happened by the Dabo table after his struggle with the shapeshifter. And he told him that he was scared. He was afraid Odo would kill him. And Kira says, there isn't a more honorable man on the station than Odo, than the constable. And this other guy says, well, maybe so, but all I know is that an hour later, Ubudan was dead. And so the investigation begins. We see a ship docked at an upper pylon. This was the transport that Ubudan came in on. And already there's Odo's like, why does he have double accommodations? And the captain is like, well, that's what he asked for. He probably just wanted larger quarters. So I guess they give that away. If you just want larger quarters on a transport ship, you just ask for double accommodations. You don't need to give a second name of a traveler. You just get a bigger quarters. That's fine. So, Odo's looking through the records of the transport now. He sees there's really not much that could be going on. Transit, RID, backup, prepare project. Oh, Odo. This is his to-do list, I think. And Odo is the last thing on his to-do list. Okay, so now Keiko is in with Cisco. And Cisco says, you won't get any argument from me. And Cisco's blaming it on Nog. He says that Jake won't have anything more to do with this Ferengi boy Nog. And Jake says that he's the only kid my age. And Keiko said, there's 15 kids between 8 and 15 on the station. And Keiko's like, Jake, don't you miss going to school? And Jake's like, no. And then he reluctantly says yes. And so Keiko says that she wants to start the school. And Commander Cisco's really into it. And he's like, what do you need? And Keiko's like, well, I need space, I need computers. And Cisco is like, yeah, well, you can get that. That's no problem. And Cisco is now warning her that this is going to be tough. There's a lot of different species on the station. He can't force the kids to go to school, and even if they do come, there's a hell of a lot of cultures you're going to have to deal with. And Keiko's like, oh, I'm sure. I can't even imagine a parent wouldn't want their kids to go to school. Which way? It's really not that hard to imagine, Keiko. And then Cisco tells Jake that he doesn't want him hanging around Nog ever again. Okay, we're back in Bashir's office, Basically, there was no DNA from anyone else. The only DNA was Ubudan and the people who were in there investigating. So, they also know nobody transported in. And it's basically impossible. How could this have happened? And Odo's like, it can't. It's impossible unless the murderer could get through, someone who could get through the door, like a shapeshifter. And we've got a commercial break. So I'm pausing it here. Which is kind of weird. So, they're saying that Odo could have slipped through the door. Now, excuse me, but on a space station, I would think the doors would be airtight. Right? I know. That's like, why would you have an airtight door in a space station? I don't know. In case the hull ruptured or something. I would just think, as a matter of course, you would have airtight doors. And I don't think Odo could, bring himself to the quantum realm like Ant-Man and find his way through a sealed, an airtight sealed door. I don't know. Maybe he can. Maybe it's just something we've never seen before. But it would seem weird. I mean, usually he needs something more than a door, than a sealed door to get through. But whatever. Again, that's nitpicking. Let's see. Let's check the chat. See if there's anything going on. Ector, you just uploaded a video. Very cool. I'll check that out later. What do we got here? Pop culture. Quark wrote that one. Okay, we're good. Imagine all that DNA in the holosuite. Oh my god. I wonder if it's Nog's job to come clean up the holosuite between uses. Yes, that would be the least favorite job on Deep Space Nine, the holodeck cleaner. Now, I guess you could say that they probably just have a program that cleans the holodeck between it. That cleans the holodeck itself. It's self-cleaning, I suppose. But either way, that's pretty nasty. Okay, so I'm gonna continue. Again, we are 23:37 now. 23 minutes 37 seconds from the end. Gonna start in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There we go. Little late. Got it. Okay, so Odo and Kira are coming up the turbo lift. His calendar shows him. Okay, so that was the calendar Odo was looking at, and it said that he was planning to meet with Odo on his calendar. So Odo knows that this is set up to look like he killed him. And Kira asks, well, does he have an alibi when the guy was killed? And Odo's admitting, no, he was in a pail in the back of his office. He has to revert. And Kira's like, well, this guy might have known, somebody might have known your regeneration cycle. And Odo says, yeah, very neat package. So Kira says, well, is there anybody that would want to kill you? And Odo's like, yeah, like 15 people want to kill me. And Odo's asking Kira if Bashir could do a sweep of the room on the transport and see who was using that second bed on the transport. And Kira says, yeah, she'll have that done. Okay, so now Keiko is talking to Rom, stupid Rom, mind you, and wanting Rom to send Nog to school. And this Rom is a total different personality than we have later. He's saying that she has no idea how to teach a Ferengi. Keiko is going out of her way to be diplomatic and talk good things about Rom. And now she realizes how to get through to Rom. She's like, just think what an advantage your son would have when he goes to school. He's going to learn about other cultures, how they conduct business, how they negotiate. And Rom is starting to come around. But now Rom says, well, he's never going to listen to you because you're a female. And Keiko's like, why? And Rom's like, my son will never be able to learn anything from a female human teacher. And Keiko's like, well, let him try it for a few weeks. And Rom's like, no. And Keiko's like, but wait, will you at least think about it? And Rom says yes. And that gets Keiko to leave, though she's clearly not happy. So now we get over to the bar. And we've got a few Bajoran guys talking. And they're like, what do we really know about him anyway? And now they bring up that, hey, Odo worked for the Cardassians. And they're all going to talk to Major Kira. Quark actually comes in and defends Odo. He's like, nobody knows Odo better than me. He's a lot of things. But he was not a collaborator. He's not a killer. And one of the Bajoran guys says, I can't believe, Quark, you're defending him. You're his worst enemy. And he's like, yeah, but I'm also the closest thing he has to a friend. We see another Bajoran guy, an older man, in a cloak. Not a cloaked ship, a cloak that you wear. Like a hoodie. So you can barely see him. He's looking over at what's going on. Okay, so now we go over, change of scene. We're back on the transport, and Dr. Bashir is scanning the second bed, which I don't know how he knows which bed each one used, but he's scanning the second bed. Looks like he picked up a sample of something. He's looking around like he's a little spooked out or something. I don't know. He's checking what looks like a replicator for, what the hell? Wait. I gotta pause this. I have to pause this. Do I still have Anti-Trekker's stream open? I am hearing me sing the Madonna song. It would seem Anti-Trekker has gone live. Okay. I don't know. Oh no, streamed live 6 hours ago. What the hell's going on here? Why would this start playing all of a sudden? Okay, never mind. Anti-Trekker did not go live. But for reasons unknown, Anti-Trekker's live stream mysteriously restarted. And I still had the window open all these hours later. And I started hearing myself sing like a virgin. It was not just out of nowhere. Rambling Canuck. Rambling Canuck says, Bird of Prey, when you get a chance, check out my Generations review. New thumbnail looks good. I think, okay, I will, Rambling Canuck. I saw it. I saw the email. I saved the email. I currently have 30 emails to go through. Yours is one of them. I will get to it as soon as I can. But yes, I didn't delete it. I didn't mark it as read. It is new in the box, so I know to get to it. Mark Andy says, Odo killed Thanos. Anus. So obvious now. Oh boy. Approximate timestamp, guys. Ector, I paused it We have 16 minutes and 53 seconds. I'm sorry, 18 minutes. 18 minutes and 53 seconds left when I go to unpause it. I have Netflix. It's displaying the time left. If it's showing you the time, it is. I think if you click on it. No, okay. Yeah, 18:53 is left. Alex Lethes. Actor says, how deep are we in the episode? We're at about... Excuse me. We're now at 18:51. 18:51 left. I accidentally hit play. But we're 2/3 through. 2/3 through, more or less. Alex Lethe says, Bird of Prey, I'm back from holiday. We'll get to be doing some more proper YouTube videos now. Very cool, Alex. I have one of your videos, I believe maybe two of yours, in the email as well. So I will get to that soon. Tiki of Doom says, deep. Okay. I don't know. So I'm going to start playing again in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So the group of men are talking to Cisco, and the guys are just saying that isn't it reasonable under the circumstances that, you know, Odo should be taken off duty or something. Kira comes up to them and says, thank you, you know, move along. So they all walk away. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys and 1 woman, it looks like. And they all get in the turbo lift. And Kira is saying, this is wrong. Cisco's like, what would you suggest we do? And Kira is like, well, he didn't do it. And Cisco's like, the man we have in charge of the investigation is the main suspect. They have a right to complain. And Dax is saying, this is a conflict of interest. Kira's like, you're going to relieve him of duty. Cisco's saying, we have no other choice. And Kira is saying, he's been so transparent, he could have covered his tracks a dozen ways if he wanted to. And Cisco says the decision stands. So Odo's talking with Bashir now, and Bashir's telling him the only curious thing he found were some whatever protein things that appeared like he was trying to get rid of them. He was a biological sample container. So Bashir doesn't know what it is, but Ibudan was conducting some type of medical experiment on his ship. But Odo said he wasn't a doctor or a scientist. He's going to see what electrostatic paralysis tells us. I have no idea. Tech babble. Doctor is very confused, saying that they're breaking into DNA fragments. And Odo's like, what does that mean? And Bashir is saying we should set up a chamber to reconstruct it. So basically Bashir is like, we need to grow this thing to find out what it was. And Cisco calls Odo to come to his office. And we see Bashir putting this stuff in this liquid. You know, there's no force field, there's no vent. I mean, this could be a deadly, a deadly poison that they're creating, a bacteria that would kill thousands of people. But he's just rebuilding it. Okay, so Cisco's telling Odo he's relieving him of duty temporarily, and he's sure the reasons are obvious. Odo says who's going to be taking over, and Cisco says Kira and Dax are taking over. Odo is asking, would that be all? And Cisco's saying, I want you to know I don't personally think you're responsible. And now Odo says, well, how can that be true? You don't know me. You have no reason to know I wouldn't kill him. So don't tell me there isn't some doubt inside you, some question about whether or not I murdered the man. And Cisco says, I simply feel putting Kira and Dax in charge is in everyone's best interest, including your own. Odo says he'll take care of his best own interest and storms out. And Cisco's not happy how that went down. Okay, commercial time. Commercial time. So, Bashir is growing something that he has absolutely no idea what it is. The moral ramifications of that, let's set that aside. Just that just seems like a very bad idea. I mean, he honestly has no idea. The computer can't check the DNA and say, hey, this is humanoid, or this is, a bacterium or a fungus. It can't give any type of breakdown, or even that it's an animal, a mammal, something. They don't have no idea what it is. The only way, apparently, to figure out what this thing is to start growing it. And they do so seemingly with no precautions. Again, nitpicking, but no, yeah, Bashir's a bad scientist. Yeah, Bashir putting thousands of lives at risk. I just think this was uncharacteristically stupid. Okay, and I would think that there are probably some Federation rules about randomly growing organisms from DNA that you have no effing idea what the hell it is that you're growing. Okay, you have no idea. That, I mean, even in the United States, even in 2019 United States, even in 2019 Europe, you probably can't just, whether it's science, scientific, their own principles, like the American Medical Association, or actual government federal law in various countries, you probably just can't grow a random thing out of DNA that you have no idea what it's going to turn out to be. So that just seems weird that the Federation doesn't have any guidelines. And we all know, if you've seen Deep Space Nine, you know what this turns out to be. So that's why it's kind of a big deal. But we'll get into it when we get there. Episode writer says, just get off my back, okay, says Hector. Bird is ignoring my comments, the Multigun Man. No, Multigun Man. I said I'm sorry, you might not have been here. But being I'm doing this stream and I'm reading, I have to watch the show. I asked if anybody would like me to read their comment to please put @BirdOPray5 in the comments, and I will get to it. It'll stick out, and I'll get to it. If it doesn't have @BirdOPray5 in it, then it's just hit or miss as to whether I'll see it or not. And Multigun Man is joking. Well, I don't know if you were joking 100%, but I'm looking at your earlier comment, deep 6, balls deep. I honestly missed whatever that was that set that off. But yeah, no, going forward, if anybody actually does want me to comment, please go ahead and just put @BirdOPray5, and I'll do it. Okay, so I'm going to go back to watching. We are at 14 minutes and 47 seconds to go. 14:47. And I'll be hitting play in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, now. Okay, we're getting the station. Odo's walking down. People are talking. They're saying they found DNA. Now Odo comes to his office. His office has been ransacked. People have scraped the walls. They've broken all the furniture. They knock things over. I don't know if it's spray paint or something. The computer monitors are smashed. So I'm sure they must have video cameras, right? Video cameras that have caught all this. Because I can tell you, I've got cameras everywhere outside my house. But Odo doesn't have any cameras in his office. And Quark says, I can find out who did it. And Odo's like, tell it to Starfleet. I'm not in charge anymore. And Quark is like, oh, that's interesting. Odo's like, well, you better take advantage of it while you can. And Quark is like, oh, I will. I'm going to have every con man in the quadrant here. And Odo says, you do that, and Quark is like, what? And Odo just says, well, you'll get sloppy without me constantly after you. And now Odo asks Quark if he could use a shapeshifter in his organization. And Quark thought about it for a second, and then he starts laughing. Said, you had me going. You had me going. And Odo says, I did, didn't I? And Odo actually laughs a little. And then he looks sad. And he takes the pad back from Quark. So Quark says he was asking some friends in the prison about Ebodon. Asking if he made any enemies while he was there. And Odo said, did he make any? And Quark said, no. He pretty much stayed to himself. He was mostly around the Bajoran dissidents. And he hands Odo back another pad that he was going to sneak out of the office. So we're back in Dr. Bashir's office. And there's this big lump of biological materials of cells. And now Jadzia first recognizes the DNA patterns are humanoid. And they continue growing. And Sisko's like, well, what is it? And Bashir's like, we've got to wait for it to keep growing to find out what it is. So they know they are growing a humanoid. And they've got to transfer it into something bigger. It looks like, it looks like a nasty mix of translucent cells and heart and brain tissue. Sisko asks Dax to go to lunch, but Bashir wasn't watching, and Bashir thought he was asking him. So Bashir and Sisko end up going to lunch, and they're talking about how Jadzia has changed from Curzon to Jadzia, and asking if she's changed much. And Sisko's like, I guess I'll have to find it out. And Sisko's like, if I told you some of the mischief we used to get into, him and Curzon, saying Dax used to love the races. There was these gorgeous twin sisters, and he and I, and Sisko stops himself. I guess we won't be doing that again. Because obviously, Bashir's like, you care for her a great deal. And Sisko says, Dax and I are just friends. If you're interested, you have nothing to fear from me. And Bashir says, well, if I was in your shoes, knowing Dax as intimately as I do, I'd find her hard to resist. And Sisko says, you don't understand. Dax used to beat me regularly at bare fist. I don't know, judo counterpunch or something. And Bashir's like, well, I guess you won't be doing that either. Now they both turn around, because Odo went to sit at the bar, and everybody got up and left the bar, including Morn. And were looking sad. Bashir's looking sad. Okay, so now Keiko's at the school, and you got some Starfleet guys bringing in computers, which are actually computer desks. And, we got little Molly. Miles is holding Molly, and Miles like, where were you, Mommy? And she's like, "Can I come to school, Mommy?" And Keiko's saying you gotta wait a year or two. And Keiko says, aside from Cisco, we haven't had a firm commitment from any of the parents. And O'Brien brought a present for Keiko. It's wrapped. And O'Brien says, it's just something I replicated on the way over. And Keiko opens it. And it's a school bell. It's a school bell. I thought it would be an apple. It's a school bell. So now they're hearing a commotion outside on the promenade, and it's Odo, and there's a group of like 15 guys following him, and they're all yelling at him and whatnot, and now Odo locks himself in the security office. And there's, like I said, there's a group of maybe 15 or 20 people have gathered outside the security office, and they're all yelling and screaming. And so O'Brien calls to ops to get security to the promenade on the double. And then he calls Cisco and tells that Cisco, there's a crowd or a mob outside Odo's office. He better get down here. And Bashir looks out, I guess the medical, the med clinic. Well, that was some thunder right here. We're in some thunder. Bashir is in his office, the mad scientist. He's now transferred this biological thing to a human-sized table, and he's watching this thing grow. And we've got a commercial. So I'm pausing it. 7 minutes and 34 seconds left in the episode. So Odo is barricaded inside the security office. Yet Miles had to call ops to get security to come down. So presumably they're coming out of ops. You would think the security team is probably nearby. And it's kind of weird that the school, Dr. Bashir's medical bay, and the security office are all kind of right in the same place. Very, very convenient. I have to wonder. I don't remember if in the future if they're all in the same place going forward, or if they move around, particularly the school, because I know the school comes up in a couple of episodes. Some things happen there. But okay, so yeah, we've got an angry mob outside Odo's office, and now it comes to Cisco to try to talk them down. So we've got 7 minutes, 34 seconds left. Chris Persa, welcome, Chris. Says Berta Prey, how are we to know the quarantine field hasn't already been activated off screen? Well, Chris, only the fact that there was nothing visible. Okay, and I know TNG forward, when there's a force field on, it's usually visible. There's usually a slight haze. Especially when it's rounded or something. The flat ones, okay, those sometimes you don't see, but you would expect to see a little something. But whatever. I'm not going to nitpick them too much. But I will point it out. We'll get through it. Did they smear poop? Hector, it looked like it could have been a very nasty, somewhat metallic poop, but it could have been. Hector says security cams in Star Trek, please. Well, they had security cams when the Enterprise blew up, and they had to show it on the next movie. They had the security footage to show the entire Starfleet Council or whatever about when Kirk had to destroy the ship. Incredible footage. They even had the Klingons inside. Somehow the security footage was recovered as the Klingons saw the numbers counting down, and the Klingon captain yelling, "Get out of there! Get out! Get out!" The computer is the only thing talking. Talking? Let me hear it. 5, 4, 3. Get out! Get out of there! Blows up. Anyway, we got, like I said, man, it's storming. It's storming here. 7 minutes and 34 seconds left. I'm going to be hitting play. It's 5, 4. I actually hit it, but I paused it again. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so we've got Starfleet security and Bajoran security standing in front of Odo's office, staring down these people. They're all yelling. Now, Odo, if Odo can get through that door, why not shapeshift and just fly away? But I suspect he can't get through that anymore. So Kira is saying it's going to be hard to control. We need to shut down turbo lifts. And some guy starts throwing a brick. I guess there's bricks on the promenade. It smashes the window. So they're still using glass and not transparent aluminum. And that guy in the cloak, we saw him again. And Jadzia is saying it's definitely humanoid. And this is when Bashir realizes what it is. He's like, my God, Jadzia, I know what it is. It now looks like a giant pink turd. It looks like the anti-tricker turd in this giant pool of water. It has no defined shape other than a turd shape at this point. But now Bashir finally says he knows what it is. Yeah, he lets it keep growing. So now Cisco and more security get there. Cisco pushes himself to the front. And Cisco's like, what do you guys want to accomplish? And the guy's like, we want the shapeshifter. And Cisco's like, what are you going to do if you got your hands on him? And one guy says, you're right. How do you put a rope around the neck of a shapeshifter? And Cisco's like, return to your quarters. And somebody else starts throwing things again. And now, I got to pause it here. I got to pause it here to comment. 5 minutes and 25 seconds left. Couple of security guys. One of the security guys starts firing the phaser at the ceiling like it's going to intimidate the crowd, right? I mean, like, okay, in olden westerns, the sheriff used to shoot a warning shot, and that would get the attention of everybody. Like, hey, yeah, I got a gun, and I'm not afraid to use it. Shooting a phaser set on stun at the ceiling, does it really have the same, does it really scare you? Like, what's the worst that's going to happen? I'm going to get stunned if I don't, back off. So, fine. But, wasn't it just last week when Odo said he does not allow phasers on the promenade? And yet there is his own security, Bajoran security, with phasers firing them on the promenade indiscriminately at the ceiling. Seems a little weird. Also, like I said, that guy in the cloak was in the back looking very mysterious, so we know he's involved somehow. And Odo just opened the door. Odo comes out. The people are demanding justice. We want justice, they're saying. 5 minutes, 25 seconds. I'm hitting play. 3, 2, 1. Dibs! Cancel that. Dibs, you're here. Welcome, Dibs. Good to see you. I have Dibs. If you need my attention, please put @BirdoPrey5 in, and I'll read it. There's only 5.5 minutes left in this, less, because there's going to be credits we don't need to watch. But yeah, so there's just a few minutes left. I'll be right back to it. So 5 minutes, 25 seconds. Going to hit play. 3, 2, 1, now. We want justice. Cisco says, do you? Justice, really? Really? Is it justice? Is it justice you're after, or just some way to express your anger, your fear. Look at yourselves. You're going to regret what you're going to do here in an hour. And Sisko says, don't condemn this man because he's different than you. Nobody was condemning him because he was different. They were condemning him because he looked like he was guilty. And the guy says, we're condemning him because of the evidence. And Bashir comes running up and says, we've got new evidence. And he says, Commander, we got new evidence. The man who was killed was not Abu Doom or whatever. And he says, and then Sisko's like, what? And Bashir says, come with me. So Sisko comes with Bashir and everybody leaves. Everybody leaves. So now we see the clone. Bashir's like, it's a clone. And now it's clearly a humanoid shape. And Bashir's like, it's a clone. And they're still letting it grow. They're still letting it grow. And they say that clones have the same, genetics, but there is a little drift if you know to look for it. And they ask, what happens to this? I'm pausing again. 3 minutes and 52 seconds left. Pausing, because this is a big one. Odo asks, what happens now? What happens to this mass of cells? And Bashir's like, in 2 days, he becomes a living, breathing member of Bajoran society. Really, Doctor? So he's going to wake up, breathe, and just enter Bajoran society? What's he going to do? Go get a job? He's going to be like, hi, I'm Tom. Nice to meet you. No, okay? Assuming this is happening, okay, you're going to have a body completely lacking any muscle, inability to stand, to walk, to do basic functions, doesn't have the slightest ability to communicate, doesn't understand any language. Are they, assuming he had the general intelligence of an adult human, he would first have to learn to walk, to talk, to do all these things. I mean, it is a tremendous, tremendous undertaking. You're basically raising a child. You've got to raise them. Everything that would come naturally to a baby would have to be retaught, relearned. I mean, this guy, assuming he lives, would be in, some type of super rehab center for at least a year, and probably a lot longer, if he could ever even join society at this point. That's just something I wanted to throw in, because they are way, way oversimplifying this. Your clone doesn't come out knowing everything you know. At least not if science is even remotely correct about how DNA works. Just pointing that out. Anyway, so Odo says, well, let's hope he doesn't follow in his donor's footsteps. Because that's right, he is cloned from a murderer. So just FYI, he might have just cloned another murderer. William Devine, welcome William Devine, says, Bird of Prey, does Star Trek ever really get into clone rights? There's this episode before this on TNG, and of course they seem to do it so differently. On TNG, there's an episode where a planet sneakily they ask the entire crew for volunteers to be cloned, because they only survive by making clones of themselves. They're humans, but they've gone so long with cloning themselves, they've lost the ability to, they don't have a stable genetic population to sexually reproduce. So they just keep cloning themselves, and they got to the limits of cloning, so they wanted fresh DNA, fresh blood. So they asked everyone on the Enterprise to volunteer and give DNA, and everybody on the Enterprise said no. So they sneakily take some from Commander Riker and Dr. Pulowski. And I'm not sure if they took it from anyone else. I know they purposely didn't take any from Geordi because Geordi was born blind and, you know, they didn't want his bad DNA. So these people, even though Riker and Pulowski were against giving the sample, they knocked them out and they took the sample and they started growing the clones anyway. And when Riker and Pulowski found out about it, did they say, oh, well, they're already 99% grown. They're human lives now. We have no right to determine, what they do. I mean, because, yeah, you should arrest the person that took the sample. But, I mean, not to infringe on the abortion debate here, but there's no life of the mother here. There is no woman involved. These things are being grown in chambers. So these things were 99% complete clones. They look like they could have woken up at any time. Did anybody talk about the rights they had as a nearly complete sentient species? No. What happened? Riker beamed down and vaporized his own clone, and with Pulowski's permission, vaporized the clone of Pulowski, Dr. Pulowski. So murder, straight up murder, vaporization of your own clone. So in TNG, you apparently have complete control over whether you can be cloned or not, and you can go so far as to kill your own clone. You can kill your own clone up, I suppose, until the moment it wakes up. I wonder what would have happened, a moral quandary, had they woken up, again, they still would have been in the issue where they would have had to teach them how to live, how to eat, how to walk. They shouldn't have developed muscles if they're clones. And maybe they've got some technology that can develop the muscles for them, but in a straight up cloning, you shouldn't have developed muscles. They would be completely atrophied. And in Enterprise, they do a clone episode where they create a clone just for the sake of harvesting an organ to save Tucker, to save the engineer's life. Of course, in Enterprise, because they relied on a weird animal that Dr. Phlox had for do the cloning, somehow that animal was able to not only clone the body, but also clone the mind. So that clone woke up thinking it was Commander Tucker, or whatever his name is. I think, yeah, Commander Tucker. He thought he was Tucker. He had all the memories Tucker had. Of course, he only got to live, I think, 7 days or 17 days, because that's how fast they live and they die. So he found out that he was only created to have his organs harvested. And, that's what happened. That's what happened. And Michael Henry says it's a wonder Riker didn't vaporize Thomas Riker as well. Yeah, that's kind of weird. Like, oh, you're my clone. They would have had to argue which one's the clone, I guess. And just vaporize the other one. Okay, yeah, Catfish Tucker. Okay, so here we go. We've got 3 minutes 52 seconds left, and 3 minutes 50 seconds left, and I'm gonna hit play. In Thomas Potts says, "Bird of Prey, I have to go to work tonight. Good night." Good night, Thomas Potts. Very cool. Thank you for coming. Yeah, we probably won't be on by the time you get to work, but thank you so much. So 3 minutes, 49 seconds. And, oh, Thomas, if you're still here, the package is going out tomorrow, Thomas. Just a heads up. 3, 2, 1, go. 3 minutes, 49 seconds. Odo has an idea where to find the original guy. They're like, well, what happened to Ibuban or whatever? And Odo says, I have an idea where to find him. And that old guy with the cloak over his head, he goes into the room on the transport. And Odo transforms from a chair into himself. And he's asking, the guy says, I'm going to call security. Odo says, do it. And Odo says, well, I have a question. I want to know how, this name showed up on the transport list. He says, it's my name. I arrived, and he's like, I arranged transport on this vessel. And Odo's like, your name doesn't appear on any vessel that's arrived in the last 3 weeks or 6 weeks. And the guy's like, I assure you, you're mistaken. And Odo's saying, you're the guy. I think you were the guy who were in prison, and I put you in prison. And Odo pulls off a mask like Scooby-Doo. It is Scooby-Doo. And Odo tells us, I gotta pause it. 2 minutes and 16 seconds. Odo tells us, killing your own clone is still murder. Killing your own clone is still murder. So I guess Riker and Pulowski, they need to turn themselves in. Killing your own clone is murder. Or is Deep Space Nine pro-life? I don't know. Yeah, it was Scooby-Doo. It was real Scooby-Doo. He pulls the mask off. What if the guy was surgically altered to look like this other guy? And it wasn't just a mask. But, okay. And why would this guy go back to the transport? Why would he go to the scene of the crime? Whatever. Okay, 2 minutes, 16 seconds left. Commander's log. Stardate 46421.5. Ibudan has been turned over to the Bajoran authorities just hours after his clone regained consciousness and began a new life. The other people all went to their own business, and Odo's received no apologies. And now Keiko's at school. It's now 09:07 hours, and nobody's there until Jake. Jake is the first one. He comes 7 minutes late. And now Rom brings Nog and tells Nog to sit down. Nog sits next to Jake, and Rom picks Nog up by the arm and says, not next to the human boy. I want you to have nothing to do with him. And Rom looks at Keiko and says, we'll try it for a few weeks. And Sisko looks at everything. And now 2 more Bajoran kids come in. And Keiko says, oh, come in, take any seat. Try to be on time from now on. Little passive-aggressive teacher tack there. And Sisko smiles. So she's got 4 students. Sisko smiles as he leaves. And rolling the credits. So Keiko is officially school teacher. Well, like I said, this was an early episode. We know there's a lot more to come. There was nitpicking. It wasn't a terrible episode by any means. For the second episode of a series, not a lot to complain about. Only thing, I complain because we'll know in the future, we know Rom becomes a completely different person. And now Nog becomes a completely different person, but Nog grows into it, right? Nog's a child. We can excuse that he becomes a different person in 7 years. But Ram is already an adult. Ram has already been married and had kids, and he has a kid that seems to be 14 or 15 years old. So, he's already should have the right person. Whatever personality Ram is going to have, it should have been established already. That said, I don't think anybody is mad that Ram's personality changed from, drone Ferengi into actual Ram that we come to know and like, who marries Lita and makes self-replicating minds and becomes a brilliant engineer. He was a brilliant engineer this whole time. I just wish they had started with that. I wish that we had seen that Ram from the beginning. I also wish we had seen the Jadzia that Jadzia becomes from the beginning. But in What We Left Behind, in the documentary, they talk about the fact, they tell Terry Farrell, the actress who plays Jadzia, they tell her at some point, hey, Jadzia, we're going in a new direction with your character. And she was so happy because this, spiritual, holier than thou Trill thing, it just wasn't working. And they were going to make her more action or something. I forget the word they used. They were going to make her more action, more down to earth. And that's when she started dating people and having fun, right? Jadzia was a fun character. She's going to become a fun character. At this point, she's really like, oh, I'm above you. Like, I live on a higher plane. Like, please, you're not ascended. Okay, you haven't ascended. You're not in Stargate. You're a Trill, okay? Curzon certainly didn't feel he was on a higher plane than Cisco. They were doing, dating twins and having fun like guys have. And he was only one lifetime less than Jadzia. It's not that there was some pivotal change. Okay, well, you know what? Like I said, not my favorite episode. Not a bad episode. We're only 2 episodes into the series. It only gets better from here, I promise, except for that one little drop for Move Along Home, which will be an interesting one when we get to that. But that's it. I don't know. On a Deep Space Nine scale, I'd probably give this the minimum good rating of 5. 5 out of 10. It's not terrible. It's not great. When I watch Deep Space Nine, I usually skip the first few episodes, except Emissary. I watch Emissary. But after that, I usually skip to like episode 6 to 10, somewhere in there, and go. Because the first episodes, they always take a little getting used to. The characters change. It's not, you're putting in work, but it's worth it. It pays off. Deep Space Nine is an exceptional show, and next week we'll get another episode in. So I'm hoping you guys enjoy it. If you guys got any questions, much better than a TNG season 1 episode. Oh, John DeMarco, it is head and tails above a first season TNG episode. Not even close. Michael Henry yells abuse. I don't know why. What's abuse? Michael Henry says Rom and Quark are my favorites. Yeah, Quark and later Rom, definitely great characters. Excuse me. Michael Henry says, I was so glad they wasn't shown as the Ferengi of TNG season 1. Well, they would, you can't make a show about TNG season 1 Ferengi. I mean, those are just weird things. John Meyer says, Rom was fronting. Was that what you're saying? No, I don't think he was fronting. I'm saying that they just literally wrote him. They changed the way they wrote him. He wasn't pretending to be one thing. He just, you can't chalk that up to him not being who he was. That's just a change in the writing. You just have to acknowledge it's a TV show, and sometimes they change directions of characters. Michael Henry says, lots of people front. Well, if you put it that way, then half the crew are showing people completely fake personalities. We do it too. Well, yeah, but not to this extent. Chris Purr, this is Bird of Prey. What would you rate it on an STD scale? Well, Chris, on the STD scale, where the very best STD episode is a 10, and the very worst STD episode is negative infinity, and it averages out to negative infinity over the course of the series, which is weird how the math works on that. On an STD scale, I'd have to give this about a 12 out of 10. 12 out of 10. Yeah, Hector says 11 out of 10. Yeah, I'd go a little higher. I'd go 12. John DeMarco says it rates as 1,000. And Michael Henry, there is no STD scale. Hector says, ask Track Yards. Well, listen, Track Yards, I'm sorry I missed Captain Foley's birthday the other day, but Track Yards has their own scale. I love it. Track Yards, you can go in with 10 things that this episode sucked. It didn't make any sense. This sucked. That sucked. This made no sense. This was a complete change of canon. This completely ruins canon. This is laughably bad. This could never happen. This is impossible. I rate this episode an 8.5 out of 10. I mean, what? Why? Well, okay. 8.5 out of 10 after a whole laundry list of problems with the episode. Like 8.5 is the lowest you could go. 8 would be maybe an 8. But you know what? We love Track Yards. We all love Track Yards. Yeah, that's fun. Track Yards doesn't like the JJ verse. Yeah, well, I just say I like the movies better when they first came out. Now that they've aged, they have not aged well. And the fact that the JJ verse is pretty much dead, although it's somewhat transferred into Disco verse. But seeing the Enterprise from Disco, from STD, it really makes the Enterprise from J.J. Abrams' film look so much worse. If they could have made the Enterprise that we had in Discovery for the J.J. Abrams films, oh, that would have been so much nicer. So much nicer. Instead, we got these big blue warp nacelles that totally look out of place on the ship. Steven Shives, I mean, I know he likes Discovery, I think, but I have no idea how he'd rate it. Hector says, I saw him hating on episodes and giving it a 7. Yeah. Michael Henry says, I like the movie as a popcorn movie, and for me not to think. Well, you know, I know a lot of people didn't like the second one, Into Darkness. I kind of thought Into Darkness was probably the best of the three. Although I liked the original. I liked Star Trek 2009. Of course, that was literally the next day or something. Later that week, I ended up in the hospital. I still had the movie ticket in my wallet when I went in the hospital. So Star Trek 2009 was the last movie I saw before I got sick. So I always liked it. But then when Into Darkness came out, I really liked it. I know everybody's like, but it's such a ripoff. I thought, and here's the thing. It was kind of a ripoff, but remember, this is a parallel universe. And what I like to think is that the way the universe is supposed to be, even though, you know, what's his face? Whatever the hell his name is, the Romulan, he changed the timeline, even though he killed Kirk's father and everything changed. that the universe still has a way of working out the way it's supposed to, and it's got to recover from, a giant change, a giant tragedy or whatever. And so Spock and Kirk still become friends, and instead of Spock dying, Kirk dies, but then Kirk comes back to life. I was okay with that. I was okay with the change, because I would have loved if all the movies were new takes on earlier movies. Like if 2 was basically the Wrath of Khan change. I would have preferred if 3 had been something else. I mean, 3 was kind of weird. 3 sucked. Star Trek Beyond was the worst of them. And if Star Trek 4 had been time travel to current day, 2018, 2019, whenever it would have come out, America, that would have been cool. That would have been cool too. That's what I was hoping for. But apparently that was never the plan for Star Trek 4. Mr. Miles, welcome, Mr. Miles. Yes, Nero, thank you, Nero. I was thinking Nero, but I said, wait, Nero, everybody called me Nero. Yeah, Nero. Mr. Miles is Bird of Prey. I want you to put a hit out on Daniel's Hot Topics for breaking the article rules, setting them in the live stream, and cutting in line. Mr. Miles, Daniel's Hot Topics is a loyal subscriber to this channel. I can't put a hit out on people who subscribe to me. I think Anti-Tracker should, explain the rules, and Anti-Tracker shouldn't let people cut the line, unless it's me, or you, or Captain George. But everybody else, they have to wait in line. Yeah, that's the way it should be, but Anti-Tracker seemed like he really wanted to do some articles today, so I think we just cut Anti-Tracker some slack. I think, I think it'll be okay. Miss Londell's Groovy Movie says, Qapla! Qapla, Miss Londell's Groovy Movies. Michael Henry says, yeah, leave Earth and go to Cronus and back in one day. Weird stuff. Chris says, I agree, Beyond was horrible. Yes. And plus, Daniel's Hot Topics likes STD. People are allowed to like STD, okay? They're allowed to. We can question it in our minds, but let's not attack anyone for liking STD. We could try to help them, but that would be about it. Okay, guys. Well, that's it. That is Deep Space Nine, A Man Alone live review. I hope you enjoyed it. Please, after this is over, leave a comment if there's something you want me to change, something you think I could do better. Leave a comment on the video, not in the chat, and I will definitely be able to read those. And if there's something I can do to make this better for you, I'll try to do it. Because I do hope this becomes an ongoing series. And, yeah. I like it. And maybe next time, I'll have Super Chats enabled. Just saying, I don't know what I'm going to do yet for reward. Maybe I'll make Anti-Tracker give out free. I'll make Anti-Tracker, I'll ask Anti-Tracker to accept Super Chats that come to me as credits to his channel. I'm sure he'll be happy with that. Dr. Forbin / Colossus says, Hail, Bird of Prey. Hail, Dr. Forbin. Qapla. Qapla. We are just coming to the end of this video, Doctor. Michael Henry, John DeMarco says he loves the Deep Space Nine reviews. Thank you so much. Michael Henry says, Bird of Prey, we thank you for giving us entertainment and enjoyment. You are welcome. You're welcome. And Hector says, Super Chats incoming. Congratulations, Bird. Thank you so much, Hector. We're trying to figure out what I'll do. Mr. Miles says, Bird of Prey, instead of that, just ask Anti-Tracker for his Super Chat database. Well, no, I don't want to play Anti-Tracker's Super Chats. I see enough of them on his stream. We'll figure out something. Kennewick says, is Google's cut really 30%? Guess I'll be PayPaling Bird instead, just saying. Yeah, from what I hear, it is 30%. So you can continue to PayPal me if you so choose. That is a much less percentage is taken by, YouTube. Is PayPal takes a lot less. So you can PayPal me at birdofprey5.com. There's a link to PayPal me, of course. I will continue to check those. You let me know in the chat. Hector says, do like Nerdrotic, no rewards. Yeah, I don't know if I'll reward every super chat. But maybe there'll be days where I have some rewards. Because I as much as I love Anti-Tracker's reward system, I think there's good and bad to that. I know when I watch Anti-Tracker's streams after the fact, if I've already seen the super chat, more than likely I just skip through it. But the spinning Spock I never skip through. I always skip through one that I'm in, like Bird Chat 1 that I'll skip through. John Meyer says God only asks for 10%. Steam asks for 30% too, says Hector. And Google is the new God member, says Michael Henry. Hector says, and Gabe Newell? Mr. Miles says, the God member is between my legs. Jeez. Kennewick says, if God only wants 10%, then God is 1/3 of Google. And John says, I thought Disney was trying to buy a majority share of God. Well, I don't know exactly who's buying God, but it's not me. So thank you guys so much. Qapla. This was a good chat, and I'll be back tomorrow for City Skylines, and at some point I'm going to try to put out a video this week. Oh, tomorrow is also going to be Twilight Zone. The series finale of Twilight Zone is tomorrow. So that will probably be a big video. Mr. Mouse's Bird of Prey, who would win in a fight? Google versus Disney? It's a good question. Frick. It depends. It depends how low they're willing to go. My first thought is Google would deal a really strong blow. Like if Google fired first, they could probably do significant damage. But I think Disney would win in the long run. I think Disney could win long term. Kennewick says Qapla, Mamo Prey, and Sassy. Qapla. Google has more blackmail material, yeah. Disney brainwashes kids before Google, that's also true. Qapla, I will see you guys tomorrow. I said Qapla already. I will give all the best to Mamo Prey and Sassy. Thank you, Chris. Hashtag stay sassy. Stay sassy. Stay.